We are getting ready to start our presentation today. We are scheduled for 11 o'clock. Thank you for all of those who have shown up on time. We have a great training that is scheduled for all of you, and this is a training specifically on how to enhance your chances of getting your offers accepted in today's super aggressive real estate market. And it's going to be myself as well as Matt Allman. We're going to be together conducting this training. So if we have any agents that are joining us after the fact, that's totally fine. So I just set the agenda. Now, as we go through this, I just want to be clear here. We know that this market is extremely competitive, super competitive. There's no question about it. One of the last offers that we got accepted, we were competing against 24 other offers. So there was 25 offers and we had our offer accepted. For our last couple of listings that we just had on the market, we had one property on the market that not only entered into escrow at over 100,000 above asking, but we also had 27 super qualified offers in a matter of 72 hours. And then our property in Moreno Valley, we had 37 offers. And I'm talking about good offers, good, strong offers. I was really surprised on the overall strength of the offers. So just keep that in mind as well. There's no like one secret magic pill to get your offers accepted, unfortunately. This is all about what can you do to get your offers, enhance your chances of getting your offers accepted. And just so you know, the way that we put this together is Matt and I have an extensive network of real estate agents, probably one of the larger networks in our business, just simply due to the fact that this is what we do on a daily basis. As we provide trainings to the real estate community all across the United States. And for a while, we've been having one-on-one small group mastermind sessions with really good producing real estate agents that have a good amount of listings, like the type of agent that every one of us wants to strive to be. And these agents have collectively offered insight as to things that they look for, or the things that immediately make them feel as if this agent is just not going to be the right one. They put themselves in a position to say, you know what, this is just not the right offer for us, and then they're bypassed. And so we definitely want to make sure that that is not any of you. Let's go ahead and get things moving forward, and we'll get things started. So again, how to get your offers accepted in today's market as we go through this. Then if you have any questions, let me know. And I just want to confirm, Matt, you're on the line with us as well, correct? There you are. I see you. Okay, I think your audio's connecting to your audio. All right, Matt will be joining in just a second. And if you guys have questions, put them in the chat box for sure, and then we'll periodically break just to make sure that along the ways we are hitting. Now, let me give a quick introduction of myself and Matt for those of you guys who are not familiar with us. So I'm a licensed real estate agent as well as a licensed mortgage loan originator. And I'm also still running Social NetworX. We're crazier, busier than ever. Social NetworX is a digital marketing firm. Matt and I founded the company together more than a decade ago. And both Matt and I have the opportunity to speak to the real estate community, as I said, all across the country. Being that things have opened up, meaning that there's a lot more live events, we have a lot more events that we're speaking at. So this next week, we're going to be speaking for one of the largest lenders in the business out here in Southern California. It's a national event, so people flying in from all across the country. In a few weeks, we'll be out in Vegas speaking for the Century 21 Global Conference, which we're super excited about. And we just have more and more chances of educating the community about digital technology, social media, and video marketing. And Matt is a business development manager for our loan team. So he's actually the lead on running our loan team, and he works with a lot of real estate agents when it comes to assisting our realtor community in not just getting services from loans, but I would say even more so helping them just overall build their business to grow more aggressively. So with that said, one of the first things we're going to advise is that each and every person on this call, we highly recommend that you just do what you can to put your best foot forward. Believe it or not, there are real estate agents that when you do submit an offer, they may go online and Google your name. And I know this because I do it and other real estate agents do it as well, just because we want to get a feel of who are we working with. And at the same time, if you're an agent who's not found online, if you're an agent that doesn't have good reviews, that's not necessarily positively reflected. Now, I'm not saying that that's the basis of your offer being accepted, not by no means. but the market has changed. Everything that we can do in order to enhance our presence and make us more professional, we need to do it, plain and simple. So make sure that you take the time, number one, where you can be found online. If somebody was to Google your name, can you be found? And if any of you are taking notes on this, I'm going to give you 3 things that you can do in order to enhance your search engine optimization. Number one, you're going to want to create a Facebook business page specifically with your name. So for example, if it was Santiago Lopez, it's nice to have you on the call, by the way, Santiago Lopez Realtor or Santiago Lopez Real Estate, as an example. So you create a Facebook business page, and then you want to create a Google Places account. When you create a Google Places account, this puts you in the business directory for Google. So you want to have that set up as well. And then finally, you want to have a YouTube channel created. A YouTube channel created with the consistent name, Santiago Lopez Real Estate or Santiago Lopez Realtor. But you don't want to have the names mixed and matched. So you want to make sure that the names are consistent. And then what you want to do from there is to take advantage of the fact that you could have Google reviews placed on your Google profile, number one. And then also the fact that you have a YouTube channel, you have to have a video, a digital business card, a short, consistent, concise 30-second to 60-second video. Who are you and why should anybody care? The other thing as well is that as you're in a position where you're wanting to introduce yourself to more real estate agents, you're going to just want to put yourself in a position where if somebody was to Google you, it's simple and easy for them to find out exactly who you are. Here's an example of a video that we've created for Matt so he could introduce himself not only to the realtor community, but I would say also to listing agents as well as to buyers.
Chances are, if you're watching this video, you're thinking about buying a home. This can be a very exciting yet sometimes daunting process. But don't worry, my team and I are here to help. My name is Matt Allman with Easy Fundings, and I've been in the real estate industry since 2004. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, you're interested in down payment assistance, or perhaps you want to take advantage of your VA benefits, we'll schedule a time to discuss what works best for you and your family. I'll also show you how to submit a strong offer on a home with a fully underwritten loan approval. My company offers aggressive pricing and competitive rates to get you a better deal and potentially have a lower monthly payment, saving you thousands in the years to come. And let's be real, the last thing you want to have happen is for you to be in the middle of the process.
All right, so with that said, the video may have been a bit choppy. That's one thing that I don't think any of these video platforms have been able to get perfect, but you're watching it being streamed through the internet. If somebody on the other side is watching that video, it's going to be able to come in and be able to be viewed perfectly fine. Okay, so we know that the market is still on fire. There's no question about it. Right now, real estate agents, if you're showing up to open houses, I don't know if any of you are walking in and you're having a huge long line just to simply get inside. So that's problematic. And at the same time, it puts us in a position where we are all in a situation, we're in a situation where if your clients see a ton of people in front of them on the internet, that could be a bit unnerving. It could put your clients in a position that maybe they don't feel as confident with getting their offer looked at or their offer accepted. I mentioned to you about the deal that we had our offer accepted with 24, 25 other offers or 24 other offers. So we were put into a position that our client, when he viewed that listing, he called me 2 hours later and he said that he had driven by the property. It was an open house. And 2 hours later, there was still a line wrapped around the property and he did not feel as if he could get that, as if he was going to get his offer accepted. So being that we know that the market is on fire, we have to best prepare. Okay, so there's no question about it, is we have to prepare and put our best foot forward. So let's make sure that we do that. I think the biggest thing is this: you want to stand out and be a professional from start to finish, not just with your clients, but I'm talking about with real estate agents as well. The other side, real estate agents who are listing properties that are selling the homes for their clients, you want to put them in a position where they feel a sense of confidence in you. So this is really about what can we do from the way that we walk, the way that we talk, the way that we present ourselves, the way that we submit our offers. And those are all the things that we're going to discuss. Is you want to make sure right from the beginning that you are a person that instills confidence in that other party, because for you listing agents, you know, when we have a lot of offers coming in, often what our clients will say is they will defer to us in some capacity. And they're going to say, well, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Anybody who stands out with you? I mean, it happens all of the time. And at the end of the day, it's our client's choice. But we know, and I would say any agent who's worth their value for what they're going to charge, they're going to have an influence on their client. Whether or not we want to really impose that influence, we're going to have it. So number one, I would say build a relationship with the real estate agent, the listing agent. Make sure that if you are at an open house and if your client likes a property, take the time to introduce yourself to that real estate agent. And I'm talking specifically about an open house. And even if the open house is busy, it doesn't matter. Make sure that you take that time to introduce yourself, shake that real estate agent's hand or give them a fist bump, whatever. But if your client likes that home, I will take my clients. And if we walk outside and if they give me any indication that they want to write an offer on that home, I want that agent to remember me as best as I can, as best as possible. So I'll let them know, hey, I know you have a really busy open house, and congratulations, by the way, this is a beautiful listing. My client wants this home. You're going to get an offer from us. I know you're going to get probably a lot of activity. I just want to make sure that I can introduce myself to you. So when I reach out and I call you later to discuss maybe the terms, or if I have any questions, you could at least put a face to a name. And this is just really about making sure that at the end of the day, this is business. And if I can do something to make myself stand out, I'm going to do that. I had a client, I'm not in the habit of sending my clients to open houses without me, but I had a situation where I just wasn't able to attend an open house in the morning with my buyer. My buyer was the first one to view the home because they had to get to work. So him and his sister viewed the property. So what I did is that when I was available, I showed up at the open house. I had a conversation with with the listing agent, and I had already prepped my client to let them know that they were my client, gave them my business card. So when they came in, I said, my client's the one that came in. They were the first ones. In fact, they walked in with crutches. It was something memorable. And she's like, oh, yeah, I remember your clients. And I said, I just want to be here. I just want to introduce myself so that way I can make sure that at least I can put a face to a name and you know who I am, because my client is definitely interested in this home and we are going to be submitting an offer. Now, if you have to call the agent directly to schedule a showing, that's fine. Call them as well. But if you have any indication that your client's going to like that property, try to establish some element of rapport with that realtor. So let's just say Stacy Shepard, as an example. If I scheduled a showing for your home, and if my client and I went to go view your property, because it's not an open house, and my client liked it, I would then pick up the phone and call you, and I would say something like, "Hey, Stacy, this is John Reyes calling, and I'm reaching out to you because we just showed your home, and my client loves this property. And by the way, congratulations on this listing." And I'm genuine each and every time that I say congratulations on the listing. I'm genuine in my approach because I know that it's difficult to get listings in this market right now. So anytime that I can give a compliment to a realtor and say, "Hey, great job on getting this listing," I'm going to make sure that I do so. And I mean it with total sincerity as well. And I think that that's important, is that it's not something that's being done just for the sake of doing it. I'm doing it because I genuinely think it's pretty awesome that they have this listing. And then the other thing is I want to be professional. Be mindful of the way you speak. Be mindful of the way you talk. I had a real estate agent that called me the other day, and I talked to this agent and I know them well, and so I can say this, or I could say this without making them feel like I was trying to beat them up. But at the end of the day, what would matter more if I didn't let them know and then all of a sudden their business is being affected. But as he's talking, every other word that he's sharing or saying is an and an elongated ah. And that's frustrating. It's frustrating for people that put time and efforts into developing their craft on being able to speak. And one thing that I told him is professionals don't speak this way. You have to make sure that we're talking about something that you feel fully comfortable and confident with. It's not even business related, it's food related. You know, we're talking about his favorite restaurant, and every other sentence is a or it's an ah. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're showcasing yourself as a professional. So I think that this is key. This is important. And then when I'm talking, if I'm on that phone with Stacy, I'm saying, "Stacy, my client loved your property. We're going to be writing an offer, and I just wanted to at least reach out to you so that way I could introduce myself, share a little bit about myself, and then I would sell myself." I'm not the type of agent that's going to run from issues. If anything, we're going to hit them head on, but we are extremely thorough in our process with crossing our T's and dotting our I's. And I'm the type of agent that you want to work with. And I really do believe I'm the type of agent that you all want to work with. That's what I'm letting her know. I'm wanting her to know this because I know what it's like to be on the other side, and we've all had problematic files. I have one right now that we're working on, and it's a problematic file, but the real estate agent has been an absolute pleasure to work with, extremely professional. And I mean, she can literally write the book on professionalism. And it's not something that I just think, it's also something that Margie, which is my wife's twin, my partner, she's been overly impressed by this real estate agent as well. Despite the hiccups, she doesn't run from them. She answers her phone each and every time. And then I'm going to defer to the next part on this. When I say sell your lender, I'm going to say, look, let me give you some insight on my lender. My lender is amazing. My lender is awesome. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to edify my lender as well. And then I'm going to tell Stacy, or I'm going to ask Stacy, I'm going to say, Stacy, I'm going to ask my lender to reach on out to you, and I hope you don't mind, but I just want him to give you a couple of a bit of information in regards to our client, a bit of information about himself, just to further reinforce the strength of our offer. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, there are a lot of listing agents that don't take calls because maybe they're just too busy or whatever. I get it. I still make the attempt to reach out. And if they don't answer my call, I will record a video message saying the same dang thing. Hey, Stacy, this is John Reyes. We just viewed your home in the city of Ontario. Congratulations on getting this gorgeous listing. It's a nice one for sure. In fact, my clients love it. I'm sure you're getting a ton of calls, a lot of activity. I just wanted to share a few key points. And all I'm doing is recording this video. And I'm sending this video. Now, whether or not she watches it, Stacy, I think you would, but it's 100% on that realtor. But anytime I've done it, I've always had a really great response. I've had real estate agents that will text me back and say, awesome video. Thanks so much for sending. This is so unique, super cool, so efficient. Or I've even had one agent say, I wish all real estate agents did this because of the amount of calls that I'm getting on my listing. And so I totally get it. But at the same time, it's just an additional way for you to stand out. Matt, anything you want to add in regards to that?
Yeah, I can jump on in regards to me actually calling out to them, if that's okay with you.
I have you a specific slide for you on that after we submit the offer.
Perfect. I'll
Just
get
because
there.
it kind of falls in line with offer sent out. Now you call and do your thing. Okay. So the next one we'll discuss, the next point is make sure that your paperwork is in order. I can't tell you how many agents disqualify themselves because they don't know how to follow directions. I mean, again, we as licensed agents, we all have access to, number one, your broker. So make sure that you're leaning on your broker and ask questions in regards to the contract if you need them. Or if you don't know how to do a contract, there's no excuse. Don't just fill out the contract and try. If you're not capable of doing it, have a team lead, somebody that you can lean on, or partner with somebody. Hey, do you mind if I involve you on this transaction? Help me with this. And break them off with something. Make a deal with them. It doesn't matter. Somebody in your office, your broker, whoever. Or if not, pick up the phone and call CAR Legal's hotline. There's trainings through CRMLS. There's trainings through your board. There's no reason or excuse as to why agents should not know how to fill out a contract right now. So I'm telling you this because if I get an offer from you, and if I'm looking at it and you don't even know how to fill out the contract, you're giving me an indication as to how you're going to be when it comes to contingency timeframes, or how it's going to be if we have any sort of issues or hiccups. If you can't work your way through a contract, how are you going to work your way through these other points? So we're professionals. We need to operate like professionals. So you need to know that contract. Take that time to read the contract. Take the time to write down your notes. Call CAR Legal. Ask them specific questions. I don't know if you guys know, I think they're extremely helpful. I call them all the time, but you can call them and you can ask specific points about whatever, contingency timeframes, the contract points, and they're extremely helpful, but that's our job. Imagine, would you hire an attorney who didn't know law? Would you hire a doctor who didn't know medical practice? Like, of course you wouldn't. So at the same time, don't think, oh, well, I got my license and all I got to do is go on the internet and fill out some numbers. And that goes back to correct math. We're getting offers on this last property that we had where the numbers didn't even match up. I mean, I know that the service does it for us. It like calculates the numbers for us, but somebody's down payment, they put for the amount of money that they're going to get a loan. So it's like, you're going to get a loan for $538,000 and your down payment's going to be your down payment's going to be $538,000 and your loan amount's going to be $15,000. It's like, maybe you're a little confused on that. And so if any of you have received offers where your offers are incomplete or their numbers are off, it's not a good look. So make sure that you are situated, that you are set and prepared to know how to properly fill these out. Now, if you guys don't know, We've done many trainings on how to properly fill out an RPA, as well as going over the listing agreement as well. But we've gone over the RPA. In fact, we're going to do it again, being that they've now have had some updates on the car forms. But it's been a great class, and I love the fact that we can incorporate one of our really good friends, Joseph Limo. We let him take the lead on that. He is a car certified trainer, and what I love about him is that he brings energy to the training, and it's not boring. We're not falling asleep. But even if it was boring, and even if we did fall asleep, it doesn't matter. We got to learn it anyways. All right, next point, Matt. I know you love this. This is one of your favorites because you talk about it all the time. But the importance of having a professional email when you send an offer. And so, what we're really big on is we focus on making sure that you have a summary email of your offer. You got to keep in mind, if a listing agent is getting 20, 30 offers, make it simple and easy for them to be able to scan right through your offer and get the main points. So some of the key things that you would want to include is, number one, the summary, how we have it listed on the screen in front of you, but the offer price, the down payment, the loan type, if you're going to be waiving any sort of contingencies, or if you're shortening contingency timeframes, give them the straightforward, concise breakdown. And it's another good thing for you to be able to do as well, because as we are getting a lot of offers, and Linda, I know you're on this call, and thank you for being on this call. You're always on all of, I'll say a lot of our calls, and I could see the difference in your business, which is amazing. But as you're getting a lot of listings, like Linda, you just had almost 40 offers on your property, maybe more than 40 offers. You don't want to have to rummage through the offers and have to kind of find the information, where a professional will make it simple and easy, efficient. It's efficiency at the end of the day. Of course, we will find the information. It's not like we're going to bypass it and your offer gets thrown out the window. Just want to make it easy on those that are involved. So the loan type, the amount of days to close, credit score indication, make it simple, concise, straight and to the point. This is an offer that we recently received for a client that I was just super impressed with. It was an offer summary that had come in. We had received 27 offers, and the way that the message was delivered to us, it was clear and concise, multiple PDFs which were broken down. And I'm a fan, and I know a lot of other agents out there, they're a fan of either one PDF where everything's in there, simple and easy, or if you're going to have it broken down, make sure that the titles are not just clear, but concise. What exactly am I looking at? Don't make it where I have to click and open and read. Make it known if these are the cash reserves, or Bank of America cash reserves, or cash on hand. If it's my TD Ameritrade account, include that information as well. So we're just talking about the overall structure, because now this is really part of the sales process. When you have your communication conversation with the listing agent, when you go on out, show your client, they're excited, and you package this, you submit a full package, you have a DU approval, which again, I'm going to defer to Matt on this. You have your reserves, you have all the financial information ready and available to make me feel comfortable and confident that you, as a listing agent, have done your homework. And maybe it's not you, but it's your lending partner. This is why it's so important that you actually have a lending partner who knows how to play this game, a lending partner that has crossed their T's, dotted their I's, and has done more than just provided a prequal, has done more than just simply providing you a DU, because even that's not enough. It has to be the full package. Make it so that way it's fully sold. Now, on our last two listings, we got 3 listings in a matter of like 3 weeks in the city of Ontario. It was insane. But 2 of them we had open houses on. And well, like I said, one was 27 offers. Another one was 30, I think it was 37 or 40 plus offers. At some point we got lost with it, but it was almost 70 offers. With 70 offers, we had 2 lenders that reached out to us. And out of both of those lenders, both lenders literally said something like, "Hey, John, just reaching out. We submitted an offer. If you have any questions, please make sure you give me a call, or just reach on out to me." And I'm excited that they call, but I feel like I lose a little bit of the excitement knowing that I feel they had such a great opportunity to sell themselves, to sell their client, to sell their realtor. They kind of fell flat on it. And so, Matt, I know this is where you take the lead with all the agents that we work with on the loan side. And guys, Matt and I, we're a team when it comes to our lending company, from Easy Fundings, Close Fast, Close Now. Our original background is 18 plus years for me in loans, Matt 17 years in loans, It's how we started before we ever did one training on digital marketing. Before we had Facebook, we were in the loan game. In fact, we were working together in the loan office when we heard about Facebook, when this whole thing came about. My wife brought up the conversation of Facebook. And back then, MySpace was all the rage. But my point in saying this is we want to create an opportunity to be able to work with you and be the team that picks up the phone, calls the listing agent, sells you, sells them, sells our client, sells ourselves. But Matt, what does that look like when you reach on out to a realtor?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy to deliver some good, valuable information. If you guys have questions, make sure you deliver those in the chat box on the side and we'll get to them as we go. I can't, first of all, before I get into that call, what does that call look like? I can't tell you how important, if you just go back the last two slides real quick, John, how important the Cliff's notes of those last two slides are on both sides. So right here, the email you're delivering, and when I'm telling you this, it's because you're giving them a pre-screening, if you will, or kind of some insight as to what it could look like with your organizational skills and your delivery of message. And this is just in a body of an email, not even communicating with you verbally, right? You're letting them know what this transaction is most likely going to look like. And we all know things can fall off the rails and buyers do crazy things. But from a delivery, from the introduction at this point, this is powerful. And then it also helps me or your lender, whoever you're working with, to when they call, not have to sift through RPA. And I'll tell you, I've gone through RPAs with some of my real estate agents. We all make mistakes sometimes. We're going fast. You're submitting 10 offers for 10 different properties for the same buyer. And maybe you plugged in the wrong numbers, right? For FHA when it was conventional, or the wrong loan limits. So this right here is accountability, and it also helps your lender. The next one, John, if you will, is going to be really important, because if we're receiving this and you're the listing agent, man, this helps me sift through cross quals and then ask the appropriate questions. So just wanted to get to that, and we can get back to the other slide. Now, when I call a real estate professional, and I'll tell you what John said, I get a hold of a lot of these listing agents. There was a point in time where we didn't, but I think now, I mean, they're answering their phones. Everyone's like, hey, I don't know if that's another buyer. I don't know if it's another listing. I just had 800 people come through my open house Saturday and Sunday combined, and I have 37 offers, right? So when I call and I get in touch with this real estate agent, one of the first things I actually do is I will look up the property myself so I can understand, what does a property look like? That's my icebreaker. Hey, John, what's going on? This is Matt Allman with Easy Fundings, and I'm calling you in regards to an offer my real estate professional and partner, Margaret Kosman, submitted on 1234 Rainbow Road. How you doing today? Right? It's simple intro. Hey man, by the looks of it, looks like that backyard's fantastic, spectacular. It's probably one of the highlights of the home. You get a lot of offers, a lot of activity. I already know there's going to be a lot of activity due to low inventory anyways, but that's what my icebreaker usually is going to be. Something about the home, let their guard down a little bit. And then I'll ask them, are you in a position where you can pull up the offer and the desktop underwritten approval that I provided on behalf of our buyer and Margaret Kosman? And John's going to either say yes or no. If it's a no, we jump on a call later where we actually can go over it. But at some point, I want to go over the intricate details. Some real estate agents can read a DU and they understand it. I'll tell you right now, majority don't. But more importantly, I want to discuss why my buyer, Jose, is going to be the key buyer for your listing. Number one, let me tell you a little bit about the buyer. Okay. And I'm not going into just FICO scores and all that craziness. I'm going to say Jose, I can speak on behalf of, gets documentation very quickly, which I already know this is going to be more than a smooth transaction. Here's the other thing I already checked on, John. I already got the verification of employment. We've already vetted that out. We're good to go. He's going to be getting funds from his 401k. Already have the terms of conditions. He can borrow up to 50%, and there's no gifts or blah, blah, blah. Now, if there's a gift, I have a gift letter. You have to be very intentional with explaining the details of this loan so that they know what the heck I'm talking about. So that's kind of what that conversation sounds like. Let them fire off any questions. One thing that you should probably incorporate in delivering as well, but you got to back it up, and I do too, is I always say, John, one thing that I want you to know about me and my team, which is similar to the real estate professional on this deal that I work with, which is an absolute rock star, Margaret Kosman. I deliver good news fast. I deliver bad news faster. And I'm sure you've been in a position where you're sifting through all of these different offers. You can only choose one. There can only be one. And you want to make sure you chose the right individual, the right lender, the right team to make sure you look great to your seller, which is going to be referral business in the future. Do you agree? They're going to say, absolutely. Perfect. So if there is a problem that arises, I'm going to tell you right away so we can problem solve. It might be a simple one, but we're going to problem solve and make sure this deal closes. When we submit an approved offer by me, the deal closes. That's how aggressive I am in those calls. And I'll tell you, I think it's a big part of why a good amount of our deals support the awesome conversation from the buyer's agent side on why those offers get accepted.
Trying to unmute my line, and Matt, the points that I think you're making that are key is that you're not just calling saying, hey, I'm the lending team, I'm the lender, call me if you have any questions, but really doing the part of selling that client and providing more of a comprehensive overview. And you, as all agents who sell houses, you know, if you were to get something like that on the other end, it would evoke a sense of confidence. There's no way
What's
that
up, everyone?
couldn't. And I think that that's key. That's very important for you guys to all know. So with all that being said, anybody here have any questions whatsoever in regards to that process so far? Send them on in if you have them. And I think another key thing is, as we're waiting just to see if anybody has questions, and if you don't, no problem, then we're concise on our message, and then we'll go ahead and get ready to let you guys know about some things that Matt and I have coming up, which are super awesome. But if you guys don't have questions, this is why it's so very important. When you're working with the client, you need to make sure that you assert your element of control on your client. Set that standard with your client that you say, look, this is amongst one of the most competitive markets that I've been a part of personally. And with that being said, I'm going to connect you with my lending team. And when they ask you for loan documentation, or if they ask you for anything, you need to make sure that you make it a priority and you provide it when they ask it. And the reason is because this could be a make or break for you when it comes to you getting your offer looked at or your offer accepted. And I think that that's key, because from a lot of real estate agents that I'm talking to, I have a lot of agents that have talked about them kind of spinning their wheels with their clients, or them having conversations with their clients, but not getting them to be fully bought in. And that's problematic. So we do have a question from Aaron on the thoughts about the love letter. Okay, so I'm going to give you my John Reyes thought, meaning that this is not an endorsed thought whatsoever by any of the organizations that we work with. So I know that I've been told, because I do trainings for a lot of boards, and I've been told that I can't say, if I'm doing a training for a board, hey, have a love letter included. And I'm not one to just simply say, okay, no problem, I won't. I say why. I question everything. And then I'm told because of the potential influence that it has in the fair housing violation. Well, my favorite class in college was business law. And at one point in my life, I thought about going into law school. And so just by nature, I tend to like to argue the point, and I want information that's going to make me believe that the answer is true, opposed to just believing at face value. So my determination on that is this. Look, at the end of the day, if a love letter is written, then from a buyer's perspective, I believe that my buyer would be safeguarded, because unless the seller is saying that they're directly influenced and they're making a decision based on any of those factors that would be a fair housing violation, my job is to get my client's offer looked at, get my client's offer accepted. When I'm selling houses, I'll tell my clients as well, if somebody does write a love letter, and I explain to them what that is. I don't call it love letter. I call it, if they submit a letter, if they want to introduce themselves to you, it's your guys' choice as to whether or not you guys want to read it. Now, with that being said, let me let you know about the potential violations on your end, and it's up to you as to whether or not you want to read it. So with that said, I know that there's a lot of conversation. Should you do it? Should you not do it? I think to play yourself safe, maybe you don't do it. But again, I can tell you that I know agents and lenders right now who have shared that they're getting their offers accepted because of them submitting and including letters in their offers. So am I endorsing it? No. Do I see a value for it? Yes. And if I am speaking on a company's behalf or a board's behalf and they don't want me to share it, then I won't share it. It's as simple as that. But if I'm speaking more openly than like we are right now, this is our meeting, then I'll tell you that I would say, hey, it doesn't hurt. Let's submit it. And let's just be mindful of the fact that when our client is writing a letter, we should all be aware of what not to send. Okay, so that's the John Reyes answer. And then if anybody here doesn't like that, I get it. I totally understand. I won't even argue the point with you. It's just more so you knowing what's best for you. I just want my client's offer accepted and within reason and keeping my client safe and protected. So again, they're not the ones that are making the decision. That's on the seller. So if I'm working directly with the buyer, that's my thought on that. So Aaron, great question. And you kind of put me in a position where I got to give a little bit of an elongated answer just to provide insight on that. Javier, do you do loans in Illinois? I believe that's Illinois. And I'm going to say no, we don't. So we do loans out here in California, and also Matt did give a breakdown of other states. We're in California, but we could also work in Colorado, Texas, Washington, Oregon, Florida, as well as Idaho. I know that we're constantly working on expanding our network, but if we did, man, we would be working side by side with you. No question about it. Any other questions? Okay, so here's a key takeaway. Matt and I, we are essentially marketing specialists. That's the thing that we do. We constantly are doing things in order to help ourselves stand out, build a business that has been fruitful for ourselves, for our families. And we want to be able to help any of you who are on the other end looking to do the same thing. Maybe you've already done well. Maybe you are already crushing it. We know that there's nobody in a position where we can further enhance your growth, enhance your brand awareness, enhance your ability to generate more deals and to close more deals. So we would love the opportunity to be able to connect with each and every one of you. And we can do this in a few ways. We could do this in a position where if any of you would like to connect on a one-on-one basis, then send us a text message. I'll provide you our contact information when we're off. But otherwise, in Southern California, we want to invite you to an event. Before I do, let me answer another question. Escalation clauses. Oh, this is a great one. I really like this question about escalation clauses. So I know agents in certain parts of the country where escalation clauses tend to be a lot more like the thing. Everyone's doing it. In Southern California, we're noticing it where I'm actually starting to get it on more and more offers. And it's a little bit newer with the intensity of escalation clauses. So I don't think that escalation clauses are bad. I mean, honestly, I really don't. I think that they're good things. I think on the other end, you have listing agents that may automatically think, okay, well, if you're already willing to come to 743,000, then just offer 743,000. But the safeguard in place for that $743,000 offer is also, well, make sure that you're providing documentation to show that there's a $742,000 offer. I get it. So I'm in favor. I like escalation clauses. I don't think there's anything bad. If I'm submitting an offer with an escalation clause, I'm taking the time to educate the listing agent, and not in a disrespectful way. It's more so just making sure that they're comfortable with it. So if I was submitting an offer on your deal, Gabriel, I would say, Gabriel, I'm submitting this offer, and my client wants to utilize the escalation clause, and perhaps you have familiarity with this. More than anything, I just want to make sure that you feel a sense of comfort with what we're doing here. And then this just gives me an opportunity to have a bit of a back and forth. And then also at the same time, just keep in mind, when I pick up the phone and I call a realtor, and guys, for those of you who are on this call, if you've ever been told that you can't disclose information to another party, as far as I know, and again, if I'm wrong, cite the specifics. I don't want to know what you think. I want to know what you know, and cite the specifics and saying, according to Article X, you can't do this. But from what I know, I could provide information. If you're calling about my house, Brooklyn, you're reaching out, hey, John, can you give me an idea of where you're at? I've already had the conversation with my client. And so as long as my client's cool with it, unless they said, don't disclose it, is if I'm sharing information that's not going to be harmful to my client, then I'm not violating my fiduciary duty. But at the same time, our job is to communicate and to negotiate. So if you called on any of mine, I'm a transparent agent. I'm going to let you know exactly where we're at, but I've also set that standard with my client as well. If any of my clients say don't disclose it, which I never have had, then I wouldn't do it, of course. But at the same time, it puts us in a position where we are able to have the back and forth. So I can, if you want to submit a bigger, higher offer, get that higher offer in for my client. So I think that when I'm reaching on out to you as well, if I was calling Lorena Martinez and I would say, hey, Lorena, this is John Reyes. I do my back and forth conversation. Can you give me an idea of where you're at with your offers in regards to price? And if I did a good job on establishing some element of rapport, most agents will disclose. Anytime I have an agent say, I can't do that, or I can't say that, I just think, oh my goodness, we need to learn a little bit more. We need to expand our capacity to be a professional. And don't tell me you can't. I'd rather you tell me that you won't or you don't want to. I'm totally cool with that. Just don't tell me you can't, unless your client said that you can't. So that's my thought on escalation clauses, but I also just added a little bit more of that importance of having the back and forth conversation. Now, when you guys are getting DUs sent in, you should be asking for desktop underwritten approvals as a listing agent. I put that in my remarks. Send me your desktop underwritten approval along with your proof of funds. And if you receive this DU, what does that mean? And Matt has taken it upon himself where he said, hey, let me break down for everybody on this call what exactly is a DU. So, Matt, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. That way you can share yours and break down for us when we're getting these offers with the DU. What exactly does that mean?
Great question. So I'm waiting for you to pass that on over to me, and then I will pull it up. I'll actually show you guys a DU. You know, there's when you talk about the love letter or a letter that's going in as well, and the ability to you're trying to hit an emotional element, right, of sales. But at the end of the day, emotional is one thing. You always have to look at the analytical side. And that's where, if we're listening, because this is what I hear a lot when I'm doing cross calls. I talk to a lot of different lenders. They're all fantastic. I mean, it's rare that I talk to someone that doesn't know what they're doing on the loan, right? Now, once we get into the escrow, that's a whole other world. But in terms of talking to them on the phone, what I hear all the time is, my client absolutely loves this. It's perfect for them, or it's perfect for their family. And, you know, they've been looking forever. These are the same things that we're all dealing with, right? And that's why I feel, thank you, John, for, it looks like you transfer that on over. That's why I feel it's very important that we make sure that we're hitting the analytical side and asking them these questions on a cross qualification. If you don't know what a DU is, it's a desktop underwritten approval that's done by most lenders. Some big box banks like B of A, Wells, Chase, they don't do DUs. They're their own bank. They have their own process. That doesn't mean that they're not approving people properly. It's just that we don't have the same insight. You know, if we're cross qualifying them on your behalf, or your lender's cross qualifying them, as you would if we're running a desktop underwritten approval. So I had a question on a Zoom this morning. Question was, what's the difference between a pre-qual and an actual approval? A pre-qual is, John calls me, hey, Matt, here's a scenario. It's a SFR, San Bernardino County. Here's a FICO score. Here's the amount. Here's how much down, blah, blah, blah. I can say, this is what they'd probably be approved for at this amount, but I haven't seen any of the documentation. Once we see the documentation, then we can go through a full approval process. Now for you, you don't need to know all of these different guidelines of variables and numbers, but it is important that you kind of know what you're looking at. If you're sifting through 20 plus offers, you're not going to send all of those to be cross-qualified, right? You want to nail it down to like 3 to 8 or somewhere in that range, where you don't waste the lender's time, your time, and ultimately the seller's time when you're presenting the offers, because a lender isn't with you in a listing presentation. They're usually, not that I know of, are they with you when you're presenting offers to a seller? So we have to help protect you and them, but you should at least know some of the basics. So John, can you see my screen right now with this DU that we're looking at?
Yes.
Perfect. So the number one thing, if you're looking at this, that I would write down to pay attention to is, like right now, right? It's March. We're in March. Holy smokes, we're in March, right? If this DU was done in January, then I might want an updated DU, desktop underwritten approval, especially if this happened, for example, in November. If I'm cross-calling and it happened in November and we're looking now, the rates are very different. The buying power may have changed drastically. So pay attention to whenever the submission was done to receive this type of an approval. That's number one. Number two, like if you're listing a condo and they're not FHA approved and you're getting FHA DUs, then obviously we know, common sense tells us, hey, let's talk to them and see if they can get approved conventional, or maybe that offer is off the table because this is not an approved condo complex, right? Now, here's what I want to hone in on. When we're looking at expense ratios, debt to income ratios, for FHA, write this down. The back end, you want to notice, like if you see 56, like that's really pushing it to the max. I don't even know if that would actually be approved once all is said and done, because maybe the homeowner's insurance is a little higher. and it jacks it up more. 55% or less on FHA is going to be what you're looking at there. Or for conventional, 50% or less. Now, we're not relying on you to know all this. Obviously, this is where the lender comes in. But a good rule of thumb, FHA 55% full expense ratio or less, conventional 50. What is full expense ratio or total? That's the mortgage payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, plus all the monthly commitments, car, credit cards, student loans, the whole shebang, all right, for the monthly payment. So I'm looking at those things. So far, we're good. I'm not worried about the interest rate. We're not trying to take the loan. We're just, again, trying to protect you in your delivery of offers to the seller. I'm going to scroll down. And for the most part, this is what all DUs look like. So it's pretty similar. We'll look at the debt. Couple things that pop out of my head. Oh, they got 2 cars. Are they both purchases? Is one a lease? Can I omit one? Meaning, does this borrower pay for one and someone else pays for the other because they co-sign? Just little things I'm thinking about in case you accepted this or you got the seller to accept this offer and things went awry, right? Because now I'm going to talk to the lender and ask these questions. And if they say, oh yeah, actually the brother pays, okay, cool. We can minus 464 if they got all the payment statements, right? So again, just really important questions that need to be asked when we're doing a cross qualification. Next thing, this is a pretty straightforward employment. There it is, section 35, make about $7,000 a month. This is straightforward as well. They have $28,000 in the bank account. And so when you're going through a DU, I'm going to write this stuff down of what you would want to deliver to your lender. 1, when was it submitted? You want the name of the client and you want when it was submitted. Those are 2 things, name of client, so that I know who we're talking about, when it was submitted. You want to know what was the offer amount. This is because this is going to help me, right? And then how much they have in the bank. I can look at the rest and figure the rest out. That's easy. They have $28,000 in the bank. Perfect. Simple stuff. Now I'm going to scroll down to credit scores. That's the next thing. Aha. Okay. All lenders have to use, this is one borrower. The next one I'm going to show you really quickly, we'll go through it quicker, is going to have 3 borrowers. We have to use the lowest middle score of the borrower. So in this case, it's 650, 650, which that's fine. We have an approved eligible as we see. But if we look at the last page and we're looking at the final details, one big thing that I see come in that's manipulated a lot of times is the money that they have available, which I did this correctly. And this is the money required. Cash to close. Cash to close is the total amount of down payment and closing costs combined. So is there anything wrong with this one? No, there's nothing wrong other than the DTI is a little tight, right? On the back end, maybe that could get figured out and come down. Maybe it's a lower purchase amount. Maybe it's a lower interest rate, whatever. But this is what could be concerning for you, because if you don't have somebody cross-qualifying this and you're trying to get there by the skin of your teeth and hoping that the appraisal comes back at the actual amount that they offered, this could be an issue because it's not showing currently they have additional money. So I asked those, oh, I have a gift. Perfect. Then we want to see the bank statement showing where that gift's coming from, and we want to see a signed gift letter. People skip this part because they're like, oh no, they got a gift. Yeah, perfect. Do you know where it's coming from? Yeah, brother. If you don't have proof, I'm pushing and challenging you. Do not take that offer as seriously as you would if you had the proof in your hands, because again, you probably have 20 other ones that we're looking at. So that's the gist of a DU. And this is what we actually produce when we go through a full approval, right? And this is just an upfront software that's saying, hey, they're approved. Now I got to show the bank and the underwriter that they should be approved based on the documentation, supported and up to date. So that's a DU in a nutshell. Just real quick, John, I'm going to show you another one. This one is also an FHA.
Hey, Matt, while you're doing that, we do have a question from Roger.
Go ahead.
Roger wants to know, is VA ratios the same as FHA?
You know, VA's that's a great question. First of all, Roger, VA is a little tricky. There's a rule of thumb on it at anywhere from 41 to 50%, sometimes higher, but there isn't an actual identified ratio. Sometimes you could go to 60% on VA if there's compensating factors. And so those are the three major things that we look at, right? When we're trying to assess risk for a bank on giving someone a loan is number one, we're looking at assets and where is the money coming from? VA is a little tricky because it's zero down. So that could be risky, but we want to make sure we're taking care of our vets. Number two, we're looking at credit strength. It's not credit score, it's credit strength. How long have they had trade lines? Is it too new? Is it some derogatories? The credit strength part is really going to help us determine if we can go higher than the rule of thumb, like the 50% for VA. And it's happened. I've done deals where it is 63, 64% back in DTI. But that one's just a little bit more tricky of an answer because it's not just rule of thumb is 50. So good question, but it could be higher based on compensating factors. So again, assets, credit strength, and then we look at income and where that income is coming from.
All right,
Great
Matt, I got
question.
another question from Annie. I'm sorry. Let's see. Was this Annie? Yes. And this is a really great question as well. So what about like a non-QM loan, a non-qualified mortgage? So it's not a traditional loan, but if it's going to be like a bank statement program, as she says, or I'm sorry, a VOE only program, verification of employment only, then how do you assess that as a lender who's working with a listing agent, or what, maybe how does a listing agent assess that?
Yeah, ultimately, that's a great question. And non-QM is a whole other sermon. But when you're talking about like a VOE type where it's like stated, there's no ratios, right? Because we can say whatever income that we want to. There's really no employment. There's nothing to show in terms of employment or income. So it really is going to come down to how much money that they're putting down and how much money that they can prove that they have in the bank in relation to the purchase price of the home. That's ultimately what's going to be. And then also the credit score. And then based on credit score, it's going to determine how much the bank feels that they want for you not telling me what you make and having this like free for all on no ratios. I might tell you I want more down for a specific credit score. So there's a lot of different non-QM programs. There's some where they want that there's like rental. There's some where there's a rental ratio. And if that rental assessment comes back lower, then there might be more money down. There's some with no ratios on the rental, and then maybe the interest rate's higher. So those are all different, very different scenarios. And we could do a whole training on those another time. But for this, there's no DU with non-QM either. It's very cut and dry. Credit score, how much money you putting down, or do they have to put down, and how much money do they have in the bank for reserves?
And before you go on, Matt, I just want to add on the property that we had sold. Matt and I, we bought a property in the city of Ontario.
Mhm.
If any of you have any fixtures, houses that need to be fixed, and the seller doesn't want to put money into them, then look at us as a resource. Call us. You could have that opportunity to represent both the listing as well as the purchase, and then we would essentially be the buyers. But in this situation in the city of Ontario, we had a pretty good idea as to what the property was going to comp out at and appraise for. Now, we're not appraisers, but at the same time, we know how to do our assessments. The reason that this is important is because when we received our offers, this property ended up going into escrow for $110,000 above asking, and we should hopefully be closing within the next 48 hours or so by Friday. But with that said, we're looking at the offers, and immediately I'm going directly down to down payment, and I'm looking at the loan type, and then I know in my heart, in my head, that there's a big difference between what the property is going to appraise for and the property is going to sell for. So somebody's going to have to come in with that cash difference. And when I talked to the realtors, every realtor that submitted higher offers, every one of them said, no, John, we're confident that the property is going to appraise for more. And it's like, look, let's be wishful thinkers here. But at the same time, looking at the quantitative aspect of this transaction, your client doesn't have enough cash to make up the difference. And we, again, aren't appraisers, but we know how to run our comps. Exactly what we said the property would appraise for is exactly what it appraised for, to the dollar. But because we had done our homework and because we had done our assessment and we looked at the cash to close and cash on hand and all of that's why it's really important. Don't just submit an offer blindly. And this goes back to a question that we had here from Amanda. Amanda said, what are our thoughts on waiving everything? That's definitely scary to waive everything. So if I am helping assess the risk factors for my client, I will go as far as doing my homework on my comps and having a straightforward conversation with my client to say, look, if we want to waive the appraisal, which many of our deals that we got our offers accepted, we did, but we were within reason. So I told my client, I really believe that your offer that your appraisal will appraise for X. Now, the appraiser's like a tax man. It's not black and white. It tends to be a gray area. They can come in less, they can come in more. So let's hope for the best. Let's plan for the worst. So know that if the appraisal comes in lower, you're gonna have to come in with the cash. Do you have it on hand? Yes. If not, are you going to be able to borrow it from somebody and supplement that difference? And so I think that that's key as well. Now, if my client doesn't have it, I'm not going to roll that dice. When it comes to inspections, we will agree that our client's going to buy the property as is, but we're not waiving our right to the inspection. We're still getting an inspection. And like I tell the listing agent, look, if our client, if it's a matter of handyman stuff that needs to be fixed, we're not going to nickel and dime you. But if there's major issues, plumbing issues, foundation, if there's roof issues, electrical, then obviously we're going to have a conversation. So again, I think it's proper expectation. So we will agree to buy a property as is, but it doesn't mean that we're waiving our inspection right. And then when it comes to the loan contingency, that's usually, I don't see that waived too often, but we are all about shortening the timeframes. We'll shorten the timeframe. We'll do a 7-day home inspection, and we will do maybe a 12-day appraisal. If we're going to do an appraisal, if we're going to waive it, we're going to waive it. But we usually want to get those inspections done fast and quick. And I tell my clients, we want to know if there's going to be a problem, we find out fast. And I tell a listing agent, I'm not going to hold you up in escrow if you accept our offer. If there's issues, we're going to know about it quickly and fast. And do know that I've set the proper precedent with my client as well. Again, to not sit there and have to nickel and dime when it comes to small issues.
And one of the things that we do in terms of, expectations is key. What John is talking about, we set the expectations, and remember, set the expectations with the lender too, be on the same page, so that when they're conveying the same message you've already conveyed to the buyer, in this case, then everyone's doing the same thing. I don't overstep my boundaries. I don't say, hey, you're approved for 450, which means you got to look at houses at 380. I let the real estate professional set those expectations, but with us on the same page, because you need to know how much money we have to work with. Very, very important, and setting those expectations. Good. So other than that, the other thing is, when you're talking about timeframes, John, the one thing that I definitely offer, and something that I've started doing very consistently, unless it's something like I have now, I have a 45-day escrow that got accepted because the seller needed 45 days. I rush the appraisal. The appraisal rush is like another 150 to 190 bucks. And what I tell the buyer is, hey, when we close it, I'll credit you the money back through escrow. No problem. I'll take it off your closing costs. So I find that to be a really good incentive, because we're not getting into escrow to not close the deal. Like, I don't have deals that fall out. Your lender shouldn't have deals that fall out, or more hiccups than not hiccups, right? But that comes down to, again, one of the tools. Somebody asked, what are the tools that you use? Francis, one of the tools you got to use is your lender, and you got to make sure that they're going through the appropriate steps. Getting pre-approval letters just to have one to submit offers, and actually getting everything, and me seeing there's a bonus, or there's double time pay. How consistently was that? That requires a VOE. And if you want max purchasing power, you need those things. And this also makes it so much stronger when you're talking to the listing agent. So I find that to be one of your probably greatest tools. And then John has his other strategies. But yeah, loan contingency removals are there for a reason. Protect that earnest money, protect the borrower, and make sure that everything's in line with the true conditional approval, so that you can move forward to close. I honestly, just like John said, I don't remove it before I have to remove it, because I want to make sure everything's kosher. Even though I believe my approval is perfectly fine, I still want to see if there's any, you never know what kind of underwriter might be throwing some different curveballs your way in terms of conditions. And so I don't remove that until I know for sure I have everything in hand.
And I think that's what we don't want. We don't want an overly problematic deal. And even for the question in regards to, well, what about a verification of employment? We have the opportunity to do those loans as well. There's no loan that any of your lenders are going to be able to bring to the table that we can't do, right? And unless it's like private money or something. But with that said,
the only one right now, John, that's a little tough, and I feel so bad, because these types of buyers, I had one come across my way yesterday, and Francis asked, I'll pass this back to you on the comps, what tools you use for that, making sure that you're assessing the value properly. One of the biggest things is that the ITINs, because a lot of these buyers, they have money and everything's good, but they don't have the social, and ITIN lending is out there, but it's a lot more down. It's a little bit more strict. It's kind of funky. And I know that there's not a lot of high percentage of closing percentages when it comes to those loans. And that's why I don't really touch them, because I don't want that to ruin a relationship with a real estate professional, because I already know that the bank that's doing it, it's not that they're bad banks, they're great for even attempting it, but the percentages of closing are very like single digit, like that's low. And I don't want my reputation reliance upon that. But other than that, yeah, everything is every bank for the most part do similar things. It comes down to communication, availability, and problem solving. Straight up, sales, expectations, helping you get offers accepted. That's part of it. It's not just getting documents, say here's a loan. There's so much more to it. And then assessing long term for that borrower or that buyer and saying, hey, John, in 6 months from now, Johnny wants to do this. Let's get prepared to do it. So yeah, just some more insight on that.
No, good point, Matt. And let's see. So the last thing that we're going to do here is let me invite you guys to something. Matt and I are doing something really, really cool. And this
What's up,
all has
everyone?
to do
John.
with the fact that Top Golf in the city of Ontario is opening up. For you out-of-state realtors, don't worry. You can take a plane, flight down to Southern California to hang out with us. You could definitely make that happen. And Francis, to answer your question, we use RPR, the Realtors Property Resource. That's what we use to run our comps. And I'm telling you, man, we're so on point. It's scary. We could, I mean, we're on the dollar. It's great, fantastic. So that's what we use. But Matt and I, what we're doing is that Top Golf opens on March 14th. That's the scheduled date. And we have a very unique membership with Top Golf because we're newbies trying to play, but we're trying to become really good very fast. And the only way for us to be able to do so is to practice. So the way that I was able to sell it to my wife is I told her it's business related. So what we'd like to do is to invite all of you who would like to join, come on out, join us at Top Golf. You'll have an entire, not just round, an entire hour on Matt and I on golf, and we'll play and we'll just sit there, have a great time. It's fun, and you don't even need to know how to play. That's the truth. It's like bowling with bumpers, but for golf. But more importantly, afterwards, we'll have an opportunity to be able to have a one-on-one conversation, and let's conversate to discuss whether or not you would like to work with us in 2022. So this is what we created in order to promote this event for you. It's been awesome, but I would say even more so, these are the types of things that we show you as agents what to do in order to build your own business within your own local community and capitalize on all the cool things taking place in your city.
What's up, everyone? John Reyes here at Top Golf in the city of Ontario. We have this beautiful 600,000 square foot facility behind us on nearly 14 acres of land off of Archibald and 4th Street. Now, I'm inviting all of you real estate agents as well as loan officers, if you would like to be amongst one of the first to play, not just to play, but to play with both myself and Matt Allman, then make sure and register today. We're all newbies here. You don't even need to know how to play golf. This is going to be one of the hottest spots in the Inland Empire, the Southern California market. Mark my words. Join us, sign up today, and we look forward to seeing you at Top Golf in Ontario.
If you guys would like to join, just pull out your cell phones right now. And what you can do is you can just scan that code that's right in front of you. So just open up your camera app, scan the code, a website should pop up. And then what we'll do from there is we will then put ourselves in a position where you can just register. Our team will reach out to you. Once we reach out to you, we will schedule for you guys to come on out and to join Matt and I. So I mentioned October, I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep saying October. March 14th is when they open, but we are able to get access early. So we're going to be able to get access as early as March 8th, which we're super stoked about. I'm speaking at that event in Temecula on March 8th. So we'll hang out in the morning and then maybe the next few days as well. But it'd be really cool just to be amongst one of the first. So we would like that opportunity to connect with you. If you guys are utilizing the chat function, the chat feature, I'm going to give you guys our direct cell phone numbers. You can text either myself or Matt directly and just say, let's meet up. That's all you got to do. Let's meet up. We'll call you directly. We would love the opportunity to be your loan team for 2022. If you have Matt and I on your side when it comes to loans, providing you the insight, helping you educate your buyers, helping you build your brands more aggressively, there is no way that you wouldn't be able to increase your business. There's just no way unless you didn't work. It's as simple as that. This is what we do. We do it each and every day. We're in the practice. We're in the business of going on out, growing and helping people. We've done it for a long time. We would love that opportunity to do it with each and every one of you. And if we're a good fit for you, and if you're a good fit for us, then we can have a pretty amazing 2022. So that's why we're doing these events, is to educate you and to empower you. And I would say at the end of the day, if you feel empowered, if you feel like you learned one golden nugget in just hanging out with us for this last hour, just imagine what it would be like if we worked more closely together moving forward. So again, send us that message. I do have one request here. If I can bring back the summary page, somebody wants to see the summary page just so that way they can get a kind of better idea on how to submit their offers. So this is for, let's see, Lena, who just asked about this. And again, if you guys need anything else, send us a message. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much. Make sure that you guys send us a message. I appreciate you guys texting us as well. So my phone's going off, which is great. I look forward to connecting with you. I know Matt does as well. Javier, thank you, my man, for joining us. Let's make it happen. Get us a flight on out to your office, your state. We'll hold a great training, and your broker can invite a bunch of agents so they can recruit them. So just sell it that way. All right, guys, we'll have a great rest of the day. Let us know if you need anything else. Otherwise, we look forward to connecting with you guys soon. Have a great rest of the day.